or the Electric Power Industry Reform Act of 2001 in light of the alleged suicide of ERC Director Attorney Francisco June Villa by Senator Wayne Gatchalian.
To the Committee on Energy.
Communications. Communications from the Supreme Court of the Philippines furnishing a copy of its decision in the case of Jerwin Dorado versus People to Congress for their information and guidance in future legislation regarding children in conflict with the laws.
To the Committee on Justice and Human Rights.
Letters from the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas transmitting to the Senate copies of the following certified and authenticated BSP issuances in compliance with Section 15A of Republic Act No. 7653, the New Central Bank Act, circular letter numbers CL-2016-087 and 088 dated 28 October and 3 November 2016, and Memorandum Number M-2016-014 dated 2 November 2016.
To the Committee on Banks, Financial Institutions, and Currencies.
Committee report. Committee report number 11 prepared and submitted by the Committee on Foreign Relations on Senate Resolution number 241, resolution concurring the ratification of the Articles of Agreement of the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, recommending its approval without amendment, sponsored Senators Cayetano and Ligarda.
To the calendar for ordinary business. We're done. Majority Leader.
Mr. President, we also would like to acknowledge the presence of our guests in the Senate. Mayor Roberto Arsinue, represented by Mayor John Arsinue, and the barangay officials of Sual, Pangasinan, Mr. President.
Welcome.
Move to suspend, Mr. President.
Session is suspended. Piprint.
Excuse me.
Ready to resume, Mr. President.
Session is resumed.
Mr. President, I move that we resume consideration of House Bill 3408 under Committee Report Number 9.
Any objection to the motion? There being none, House Bill number 3408 under Committee Report number 9 is under consideration.
The parliamentary status of the measure, Mr. President, is that we are in the period of committee amendments. So may we now recognize the Chairman of the Committee on Finance, Senator Loren Legarda, for the committee amendments.
Senator Legarda is recognized.
Mr. President, your Committee on Finance would like to propose the following committee amendments, as well as the individual amendments submitted to the Committee on Finance, accepted by the committee. A copy of the Statement of Differences has been provided to all the senators. For Congress, the Philippine Senate, GAB amount, 3,974,450,000. Senate version, 4,186,450,000. Department of Agrarian Reform, Office of the Secretary, GAB amount, 9,801,491,000. Senate version, 9,801,491. Department of Agriculture, GAB amount, 35,200,647,000. Senate version, 35 billion 440 million 647. Fiber Development Authority under the DA, GAB amount 258 million to, ano?
258
Million 457. Senate 358 million 457. Department of Education, Office of the Secretary 542 billion 315 million 614. Senate version 545 billion 693 million 912. And this is to provide funds for site development of public schools, to increase funding for the school feeding program, an additional 1,000 cash allowance to all classroom teachers, and additional school building. National Book Development Board, GAB 36 million 44, Senate version 41 million 44. National Council for Children's Television, 13 million 910, Senate version 25 million 910. National Museum, GAB amount 649 million 611, Senate version 654 million 611. State universities and colleges, 57 billion 436 million 585, Senate version 63 billion 615 million 277. And this is to fund additional capital outlay of various SUCs. All SUCs will get a minimum increase of 50 million for capital outlays. Additional fund will also be provided for scholarships. Total additional allocation is 6.17 billion. Ano hindi ko nabasa? Sandali. Ano tayo? Ano ko napunta? Nawala. SUC. Okay. Department of Energy, 1,098,786. Senate version, 1,100,786. Department of Environment, Natural Resources, Office of the Secretary, 22,672,999,000. Senate version, 21,682,099. Mines and Geosciences Bureau, GAB version 1,373,663, Senate version 1,376,563. This is for the procurement of drones for aerial geohazard mapping, environment-related matters, and the training of aerial geohazard mapping specialists. Department of Foreign Affairs, Office of the Secretary, 16,506,616 in the GAB. Senate version 16,511,616. Senate version. Department of Health, GAB 93,753,075,000. Senate version 99,089,075,000. This is additional allocation for the Doctors to the Barrio program for 1.620 billion. The procurement of medicines, 3 billion. Health facilities, medical assistance, total increase of health, 5.3 billion. Department of Information Communications Technology, GAB, 2,976,382. Senate version, 2,999,882. Cybercrime Investigation Coordinating Center, 6,225,000. Senate version, 13,744,000. Sandali. Ito. Ito. Hindi naka-yellow ito. Basahin ko. Ito. Hindi naka-yellow. Basahin ko, ano?
Department total yan, ma'am. Dito tayo sa ano.
Dito. Okay. DILG. Department of Interior and Local Government, Office of the Secretary, GAB amount, 8,140,506. Senate version, 8,240,506. This is the implementation of the People's Law Enforcement Board. For the Bureau of Fire Protection, 12,977,200. Senate version, 12,987,200. Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, 11,140,975. Senate version, 11,528,975. Additional subsistence allowance for prisoners. Local Government Academy, 232,492. Senate version, 262,492. PNP, GAB amount, 110 billion to? Billion, 728. And Senate version is 111,261,615. The net change is due to the purchase of helicopters. Department of Justice, ito bang total? Just ito lang.
Department of Justice,
Yeah.
yung 5 lang naman. Yung OSEC.
Okay. Office of the Secretary, GAB amount, 5,213,450. Senate version is 5,223,450. This is for the renovation, upgrading of the Judicial Academy.
5 billion.
Bureau of Corrections, GAB amount is 2,167,600, and Senate version is 2,330,600. Additional subsistence allowance for prisoners. National Bureau of Investigation, 1,298,283. Senate version, 1,318,283. Office of the Solicitor General, 724,197. Senate version, 803,613. Department of Labor and Employment, Office of the Secretary, GAB amount, 8,398,727. Senate version, 8,538,727. Department of National Defense, 490, PVAO, Philippine Veterans Affairs Office, 497,751. Senate version, 899,305. The repair of the Veterans Center, administration repair of Balete Pass, expanded Veterans Hospitalization Program, and master plan for the Libingan ng Bayani, and the National Shrine of the USA FIP, and the Kiangan National Shrine Rehabilitation Improvement. Armed Forces of the Philippines, GHQ, AFP, GAB, 34,033,053. Senate version, 34,368,078. Department of Public Works and Highways, Office of the Secretary, 454, GAB amount, 454,223,700. Senate version, 443,755,692. The negative 7.8 billion is the net effect of the addition of 6.7 billion infra and the cut of 8.3 billion that was transferred to the ARM. This was the gist of the interpellations of the Vice Chair, Senator Lacson. Okay. Department Department of Science and Technology, Office of the Secretary, GAB amount, 4,349,197. Senate version, 4,405,197. Department of Social Welfare and Development, Office of Secretary, 127,838,504. Senate version, 128,078,504. We are providing 350 million for the centenarians, 1 billion for the supplemental feeding program. Department of Tourism, Office of the Secretary, GAB, 2,270,475,000. Senate version, 2,275,475,000. Department of Trade and Industry, GAB amount, 4,023,851,000. Senate version, 5,033,851,000. Department of Transport, Office of the Secretary, GAB amount, 44,677,312. Senate version, 45,689,419. Maritime Industry Authority, GAB amount, 791,395. Senate version, 801,288. Philippine Coast Guard, GAB amount, 7,429,297. Senate version is 7,179,297. Realignment to OSEC since the DOTR will procure the Maritime Safety Improvement Project. NEDA, Office of the Director General, GAB amount, 1,576,012,000. Senate version, 1,696,300. 1,692,312. Other executive offices. The Anti-Money Laundering Council, GAB amount, 29,410,000. Senate version, 34,410,000. Climate Change Commission, 86,361 in the GAB amount. Senate version is 62,946. Commission on Higher Education, GAB amount, 10,467,475. Senate version, 18,704,475. We are setting up 8 billion pesos for free tuition fees in all state universities and colleges, and additional funds for incentives and grants. Commission on Filipino Language, GAB amount, 58,601. Senate version, 68,601. Energy Regulatory Commission, GAB amount, 337,988. Senate version, 411,841. Film Development Council of the Philippines, GAB amount, 88,021,000. Senate version, 92,021. National Commission for Culture and the Arts, GAB amount, 29,626,000. Senate version, 177,626. National Historical Commission of the Philippines, GAB amount, 638,698. Senate version, 635,698. National Archives of the Philippines, 123,723,000, Senate version 126,523,000. National Commission on Indigenous People, 1,122,331,000, Senate version 1,125,331. National Commission on Muslim Filipinos, 551,832,000, Senate version 530,702. National Security Council, 142,231,000, Senate version 152,231. National Youth Commission, 141,501,000, Senate version 142,501. Office of the Presidential Advisor on the Peace Process, 8,062,519,000, Senate version, same amount.
It's just a realignment.
Yes. This is a realignment in the budget of the agency, okay, to provide for confidential expenses and infrastructure outlay. Philippine Commission on Women, 77,989,000 in the GAB, 81,989,000 in the Senate. Philippine Competition Commission, in the GAB amount, 402,317,000, Senate version 403,817,000. PDEA, GAB amount 1,153,496,000, Senate version 1,839,762,000. Philippine Sports Commission, 203,547,000, Senate version 223,547,000. TESDA, Technical Education Skills Development Authority, GAB amount 6,827,759,000, Senate version 6,732,759,000. Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, GAB amount 32,256,846,000. There's a net change of 8.3 billion, Senate version 40,573,946 to restore the cut. Hindi ko nabasahin to, no? Okay, pareho lang yan, no? Judiciary, GAB amount 31,642,623,000, Senate version 31,813,674. Sandigan Bayan, ha? Civil Service.
Sorry na kayo man buong po.
Sandigan Bayan, 499,730,000, Senate version 645,781. Court of Appeals, 1,733,307, Senate version 1,753,307. Court of Tax Appeals, 304,433, Senate version 309,433. Civil Service Commission, GAB amount 1,250,531, Senate version 1,260,948. Commission on Elections, GAB amount 3,118,137, Senate version 3,117,137. Commission on Human Rights, 471,658 in GAB, increased for 253 million, Senate version 724,868. Department of Agriculture, the National Dairy Authority, GAB amount 189,945,000, Senate version 199,945,000. National Electrification Administration, GAB amount 1,817,100,000. Senate version 1,824,100. Tapos na to, ano? Ha? Lahat to is babasahin pa yan? Yeah, that's one by one. Department of Health, Specialty Hospitals, Lung Center, 255,190,000. GAB, 265,190,000. Senate. National Kidney Institute, GAB amount 454,854,000. Senate, 464,854. Philippines Children's Medical Center, GAB 539,163,000. Senate version 544,163,000. Philippine Health Insurance Corporation 50,221,221,000. Senate version 53,221,221,000. This is for the universal health care coverage for all Filipinos. All indigent Filipinos will never be turned away in any state-owned hospital. Philippine Heart Center, GAB 373,917,000. Senate version 383,917,000. Department of Trade and Industry, Aurora Pacific Economic Zone, GAB amount 59,115,000. Senate version 40 million. Tourism, Infrastructure and Enterprise Authority under DOT, 20 million in the Senate version. Housing, National Housing Authority, GAB amount 12,635,748,000. Senate version 12,655,748. National Irrigation Administration, Irrigation Fee Subsidy, GAB amount 36,357,941,000. Senate version is 38,376,441,000. We're allocating 2 billion for irrigation fee subsidy. Philippine Center for Economic Development, GAB 34,745,000. Senate version 44,745,000. Philippine Coconut Authority 1,423,772,000. Same amount for the Senate. It's an internal realignment from Coconut Fertilization Project to Kaanib Community Household Level Coconut Processing Project. Subic Bay Metropolitan Authority 1,596,744,000. Senate version is 2,149,744,000. Zamboanga City Zone Authority 100 million. Senate version is 120 million. Metropolitan Development Authority, MMDA, 2,128,020,000. Senate version is 2,178,020,000. Local Government Support Fund, 39,484,341,000. Senate version is 39,686,341,000. Miscellaneous Personnel Benefits Fund, 96 billion in the GAB, 101,603,000. Senate version is 86,355,856,000. We have realigned within the MPBF 12 billion for the combat pay and 927 million for the implementation of the National Budget Circular 461. National Disaster Risk Reduction Management Fund. GAB amount is 36,255,000,000. Senate version is 13,247,027,000. We have realigned funds within the NDREAM Fund to provide for QRF for the National Electrification Administration, redistribute a portion of the QRF of OCD to provide for capital outlay, and the cut in the NDREAM Fund was to provide the support for the agencies I mentioned that had augmentations. And just to note that in year 2015, only 5 billion was spent by the NDREAM Fund, and we have here almost times 3 of the budget. Pension and Gratuity Fund, 142,292,622,000. Senate version, 140,792,622,000. Realignment of 246,728,000 to fund the post-World War II veterans. Rehabilitation and Reconstruction Program. It's a new appropriation of 1.5 billion. This is a new fund to provide funding to government agencies that cannot be accommodated by the NDREAM Fund. Wala na. Where is that?
67. The same amount.
Ano ito? As program?
Same program. Nag-realign tayo to para ma-provide yung
Yes. For the unprogrammed appropriations, a GAB amount of 67,500,000,000. The Senate version, there's an internal realignment for the capability enhancement program of the Philippine National Police.
Energy Corporation.
The National Electrification Administration, GAB amount, 6,086,000,007, and the Senate version is 6,093,000,007. National Power Corporation, 20,988,178. Senate version, 20,988,178, the same. PNOC, 965,000,009. Same Senate version. For a, yes, for a total of new appropriations of 2,499,486,952, and the same amount for the Senate. Program funds of 2,432,986,952, and the same amount for the Senate. And unprogrammed fund of 67 million 500 million, same amount for the Senate. Salamat sa Diyos. I wanted to, saan yung gong? Saan yung aking gong? Akin na yung gong. Before I adjourn. Hindi, I mean finish mo. Mr. President, I have presented the committee and the individual amendments of our budget. And may I just, bilang pong patapos, ay gusto ko pong ipakita lang.
Yung special provision has been submitted to all of
Okay.
the
I just wondered, I was just so enthused when I saw the NCCA in their dial, and they had this gangsa of one of the national living treasures. And they approached me and they said that they were one of the recipients of the NCCA projects. And I thought that I would bring this because we are not sure how long Alonso Saclag will live, but he's from Kalinga. And he says that when he brought this to me, he said, you come to the Cordillera, this special gong, which I made for the Senate, will mean peace to the Senate. Because you come and all the warring tribes in the Cordillera will have peace. And so he thought he would bring it to the Senate and give it to me for all of you to hear, because one bang of this gangsa will bring peace. And with that, I hope that the work that your Committee on Finance has done will be passed by this chamber. Ano? Nagulat.
Has there been a motion made, Majority Leader? Majority Leader,
Mr. President,
there
move
been
to
a
close
motion?
the period of committee amendments.
Dami, ha?
Huh?
May I add,
committee and individual amendments have been read into the record, but has there been a motion to approve?
Mr. President, the special provisions.
Yes. I withdraw my motion, Mr. President.
Yes, sorry. I read the numbers, but I have the special and the general provisions, Mr. President. There's a hard and soft copy. May I submit it? You have a copy. Everyone has a copy. Would I? Would I request that it be considered read into the record? These are all the general and special provisions, Mr. President. Or would you want me to read everything? Oh, no.
Mr. President, well, first things first. I move that we approve the committee amendments, Mr. President.
There's a motion from the Majority Leader to approve the committee amendments read by the Chairman of the Committee on Finance. Any objection? There being none, the motion and the amendments are approved.
Mr. President, I move that the special provisions be considered as amendments to the GAA, Mr. President, be deemed read into the records, as this has been discussed during the plenary debates on the budget, Mr. President.
Plus its approval. Is there a motion?
Yes,
Yeah.
move to approve
So there's a motion.
and be deemed read into the records.
There's a motion to consider the amendments to special provisions submitted by the Chairman of the Committee on Finance to be deemed as read into the records or part of the records, and that they be approved. Is there any objection? There being none, the motion is approved.
Mr. President, I have been informed that there is an individual amendment to be proposed by Senator De Lima, so I move to open the period of individual amendment. I'm sorry, I withdraw, Mr. President. At this point, Mr. President, I move that we close the period of committee and individual amendments.
Is there an objection to the motion to close both the committee and individual amendments periods? Any objection? There being none, the motion is approved.
Mr. President, I move that we approve on second reading House Bill 3408 under Committee Report Number 9.
There's a motion to approve on second reading House Bill number 3408 under Committee Report number 9. Is there any objection? There being none, the motion is approved and House Bill number 3408 is approved on second reading.
Mr. President, this is a certified measure by the President. May we request the Secretary to read the certification letter from the President?
Secretary, please do so.
11 October 2016, Senator Aquilino Coco Pimentel III, Senate President, the Philippine Senate, Pasay City. There's Senate President Pimentel. Pursuant to the provisions of Article 6, Section 26, 2 of the 1987 Constitution, I hereby certify to the necessity of the immediate enactment of House Bill number 3408 entitled An Act Appropriating Funds for the Operation of the Government of the Republic of the Philippines from January 1 to December 31, 2017 and for other purposes, in order to address the need to maintain continuous government operations following the end of the current fiscal year, to expedite the funding of various programs, projects, and activities for fiscal year 2017, and to ensure budgetary preparedness that will enable the government to effectively perform its constitutional mandate. Best regards, very truly yours, Rodrigo R. Duterte.
Majority
Mr.
Leader?
President, as mentioned by the letter, or in the letter, pursuant to Section 26, Article 6 of the Constitution, thereby dispensing with the required three-day rule, copies of the measure have been distributed to the members. I therefore move to approve on third and final reading House Bill 3408 under Committee Report Number 9.
There is a motion to approve on third and final reading House Bill number 3408 under Committee Report number 9, which is a certified urgent measure. We will call a roll call vote, Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. President, for the third reading, I move for a nominal voting.
Okay, Secretary, let's do a roll call vote.
Roll call of members. The Honorable Senators Angara,
Isa-isa.
Aquino, Binay, Cayetano, De Lima, Drilon, Ejercito, Escudero, Gatchalian, Gordon, Honasan, Hontiveros, Lacson, Ligarda, Pacquiao, Pangilinan, Po, Recto, Soto, Trillanes, Villanueva, Villar, Subiri, Senate President Pimentel.
With 20 affirmative votes, 0 negative votes, and 0 abstention, House Bill number 3408 is approved on third reading.
House Bill.
House Bill number 3408 under Committee Report number 9 is approved
Yes.
on third reading.
Mr. President, I have been informed by the Minority Leader. He has asked me to insert into the records his vote on the 2000 explanation of his vote. I know we have finished already, so just for the record, to give in to the request of Senator Recto, the Minority Leader, I would like to submit his explanation of his vote. If he were here, he would have voted yes, Mr. President, and proposed an explanation. Just submit into the records, Mr. President.
The manifestation of the Majority Leader on behalf of the Minority Leader is noted.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we adjourn the session until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. President. Before I withdraw that particular move. With the consent of the chamber, may I state the names of the members of the proposed Senate panel to the Bicameral Conference Committee on the disagreeing provisions of the House and Senate versions of House Bill 3408.
Senator Binay, not me.
Binay? For the 2017 national budget. Of course, Mr. President, subject to the rules, I will be proposing this on behalf of the chairman of the Committee on Finance, but it needs the recommendation and the approval of the Senate President. So for the record, the chair, Senator Legarda, members Soto, Binay, Angara, Villar, Lacson, Recto, and Subiri. Drilon. And Drilon, Mr. President.
Nine.
Nine.
So we will be sending a 9-member panel to the
Hindi. Oo nga, Binay.
Bicameral Conference
Hindi, sinabi ko na.
with the House. Okay, so
Binultang ko.
any objection? So there being none,
Sinabi ko na. Again, for the record, Mr. President, the chairman,
Yes, again,
the
for the
chairperson
record,
was not listening, Mr. President. Senator Legarda,
Chairman.
Soto, Binay, Angara, Villar, Lacson, Recto, Subiri, Drilon.
369. So the Senate, if there's no objection, the Senate will be sending a 9-member panel to the Bicameral Conference Committee on the budget. Any objection? There being none, they are deemed designated as members of the Senate panel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to adjourn the session until 3 o'clock in the afternoon of Tuesday, November 29, 2016.
Is there any objection? There being none, the session is adjourned until 3 o'clock in the afternoon of Tuesday, November 29, 2016.